Hey everybody, it's your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today, you all are in for a treat. This lady is a powerhouse. She is a multi-talented, successful business owner, CEO, founder, and entrepreneur just here to spill some tea. She is the number 100 top global thought leaders in 2021. You all won't want to miss this lady that I'm about to bring to the stage. Stay tuned, stay with us, stay engaged. Well, here we go. Hey everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast, your favorite gentleman. And today I have Miss Beate Chelette. She's the growth architect and founder of the Women's Code and designs processes, best practices, and systems for leaders like you and me who want to grow, build, and scale their business and achieve measurable results and profits they can count on. This woman is absolutely phenomenal. She's a first-generation immigrant who found herself $135,000 in debt. And as a single parent, she bootstrapped her business and bootstrapped her passion for photography into a highly successful global business and eventually sold it to Bill Gates in a multi-million-dollar deal. This woman has clients to Chevron, Merchant, Women's Legislative Caucus of California State University, and so many more. This woman is powerhouse speaker, and help me welcome her to the stage on the Gentleman Style platform, Miss Beate Chelette. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I'm excited to have you.
Marcus, that's like the best introduction ever. Can I have you come with me every time I speak? I want this introduction now everywhere I go.
I'd be glad to. I would be glad to. I'd be your hype man, hype person everywhere you go. Just you need a walk. I'm gonna have a beatbox right behind you.
Thank you. I think that would probably add to everything so much more. I'm so excited to be here, Marcus. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. I want to dive right in. You are a powerhouse, ma'am, but there is a backstory, and I brushed over it. I didn't do it justice. You are a first-generation immigrant, and you found yourself $135,000 in debt as a single mom. Tell my audience, what would you say to that young girl in the audience whose back is against the wall? How did you get through that?
Well, there's a couple of things. So number one, if you drown, please don't drown in a puddle. At least make sure it's an ocean, because that way, at least it's worth it. So I see a lot of times that, especially when we are facing adversity, and a lot of people right now, Marcus, are facing adversity and are struggling, is that we look at these moments as just the challenge, and we forget that these challenges that are being brought to us by God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is that is really an opportunity in disguise, and that you are presented with this because it's meant to make you grow and stretch and to become the next version, the 2.0, the 3.0, the 4.0 version of yourself. So what I learned, and I've been through 8 disasters, that every time you're in it, it feels like this is the end. It's over and you are not going to succeed. But then when you are done with it, then the next one comes and you go, oh, here we go again. And then another one comes and you go, not seriously. And then another one comes and then you go like, dear God, is there a plan in this other than trying to wear me out? And then when your ship comes in, eventually, right? Like with me, when I sold my business to Bill Gates for millions of dollars after a decade of bad luck, that's when suddenly I realized that all of this adversity was practice to get me to be able to have my big moment. And that's what I want people to remember, Marcus, more than anything, is that the adversity you're facing right now is your boot camp. So you're ready for the big stuff that's really happening.
True. Very true. So true. So when adversity strikes, successful people have successful habits, things they do day in, day out, no matter what. What is something that you would say? What's one thing that you would say contributed when adversity hit you, when every time you would overcome one obstacle, the next one would hit? What is the one thing you did consistently every single time that you would say led to your overcoming and your success today?
It was the discipline to not believe everything I thought was true, is to recognize that I believed that I was a really good person, Marcus. And I believed that at the end of the day, the joke couldn't be on me. I just didn't know what the path was unfolding. I didn't like the way the path was unfolding because it was incredibly difficult for me. But in all of this, I felt that one of the pieces I needed to learn is not to allow that death spiral of the thought. Have you ever, Marcus, had a thought that was negative and then your brain automatically volunteers like 400 other negative thoughts? And you go, where's it even coming from? What does my childhood and the one day where I didn't hit the baseball and where I dropped the thing and where I broke my mother's favorite, what does it even have to do with where I'm here? Well, that's because your brain is here to agree with you. So if you go down that road of thinking that one thought, your brain will volunteer these other thoughts. And so you have to be very diligent about what you allow yourself to think. And then when you go there, you have to figure out a way to shut it off.
Love that. I love that. I needed to hear that. It's Beate Chelette, y'all. Told y'all, powerhouse speaker. One of the things you teach, we did some research on you. One of the things you teach to, you speak to as you coach and you mentor and you guide, it's called the 5-star success blueprint. Can you break those things down for us? And what does that mean to success?
Yes, thank you. So the 5-star success blueprint I created because I recognized that when it comes to building businesses, that a lot of times a new business owner or a successful business owner, that they are very much caught in the minutia of things, or they kind of know some things, but they don't know all things. So I decided that because I do this and have done this literally thousands of times and created tons of courses and programs and private VIP client programs around this, is it's always the same path. So I'm going to take you through the 5-star success blueprint. Number 1, it always starts with the idea. What is the idea that makes you so different? Why are you different in the person that can do this? And who is that client? And what is it that they're struggling with? So this is all in the first part, flushing out the idea of the business. The second piece is the offer. Once you know what the idea is, who you are, what makes you unique, who your client is, what your client needs, then and only then can you create the offer, because then you know what they need. Once you have the idea and the offer, now you need to figure out, how am I going to build this and scale this business? So you need systems and processes. That's the 3rd star. And here we are looking at automation, workflow, standard operational procedures, and moving forward. Once you've done the systems, now you're moving into the 4th step, which is your team, because now we need to figure out who is even going to be doing all this work. And that's when you're looking into, how do I build this business? Who needs to be in which place? Where am I, how's the organizational chart going to look like as I grow? How many people do I need to bring in? That's where you map out that rapid growth. And that gets you to the 5th star, which is you as a leader. And that is you stepping from business ownership into business leadership, because then you need to know how to lead people, so people can run the systems, so they can, make sales on the offer that you have that serves the people and the problems that they have. So that's the 5-star success blueprint.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We needed that. I needed that. There you have it, y'all. The T, right? The T. Which one is your favorite? Which one is your favorite? Leadership stands out to me. I feel like leadership, it starts with you, right? When you're bootstrapping your business, everything begins and falls with the leadership. Am I wrong for that?
I like systems and processes the most, um, because I'm a strategist at heart, and I like, it's growth architect and growth architecture. So for me, the objective is to say, what are the most important pieces of a business? And the answer to that, Marcus, really is it depends on where your business is. Because if you're a leader who leads nobody, then I don't know if that's meaningful. But if you are a leader who already has a team and you're not getting the results because there's communication issues or discords in the team, yeah, then you need to look into leadership. But when you're building the business, and what I see, the threshold is really about $1 million. So you basically can build your business by yourself to about $1 million. And then that's the burnout. That's the burnout spot, because you can't work more and you cannot do more than 4 jobs at once. So that's usually when the shift happens. Do I think that somebody's making $250,000 needs to worry about leadership right now? Probably not so much. But once you really step into leadership, as to how I position myself to take a leadership in the market, how do I position myself as a leader in my team and attract other new team members? Now we're talking. So yes, it can be your favorite thing, and the most important when you are at that particular point where that's relevant.
Love that. Love
I love the applause.
it. They love you. They love you. We are going to take a quick commercial break. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, we have the incredible Miss Beate Chelette. She just broke down the 5 principles, the 5 success principles, star principles of how to manage and how to run and operate and things you should consider in your business. If you missed that, go back, scroll back, and check her out. She is spilling the tea on Gentleman Style Podcast Show today for us to do better business and overcome those obstacles that we face as entrepreneurs and in life, right? 2020 was a dumpster fire. It was terrible. Many businesses struggled, many businesses didn't survive. And so she's here to help us do better and find the pivot in our own business. Miss Beate Chelette. Miss Chelette, in your book, Happy Women, Happy World, you describe a concept called ego rhythm. Is this only for women? And what exactly is it?
So I'm going to just spill the beans on that. It's really a universal concept. So it works for men too. But because I wrote a book for women,
There's hope for me. There's hope. There's hope, y'all.
right. So, but because I wrote a book for women, obviously, it was born because I recognized this was really my issue. And the concept of ego rhythm comes from when my daughter was about 3 years old. She stopped breathing in the middle of the night. And as long as I live, I will never forget this horrible sound of her sucking in the air, or trying to breathe. And it went like, and then it was just dead silent. And I'm a young mother, and I'm going like, what do I do? And so I ripped her out of bed and I threw her over my shoulder, and I was hopping around the house trying to wake her up, and thank God she woke up. And it turns out she had asthma. And this asthma attack was caused by secondhand smoking from my ex-husband, which he adamantly denied that he did. And so for the next years, I was desperately trying to find a cure for asthma. And there really isn't a cure for asthma. But I went from doctor to doctor and trying to figure out what could I do to prevent, my daughter from not being able to breathe. And or from making it easier for her to breathe that way. And so, and then one day, Marcus, she just grew out of it. And it was over, just like that. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I just focused so much of my time and attention on this one rhythm in my life. But then something else came. And then when that was over, something else came. And so I realized that the way we are living through our ego, mine, rhythm, the rhythms of life. So ego rhythm is how I called it. The way I move through my ego rhythms is in increments of 3 to 4 years. And so when I really looked at that, I saw that that main focus that we have really shifts. So when you are a new mother, or maybe even a new father, there is a moment when that becomes the main focus of your life. I believe that for men, it's a little bit different because once the kid is 3 years old, you have a little bit more engagement with your child because the first 3 years really are very focused on mothers. And so I thought about, if our lives have this ego rhythm, Marcus, and we are going through this one rhythm at a time, then why are we so stressed out? And I recognized that we live in what I call the superhuman paradox. And the superhuman paradox goes that I look at my friends and I look at Kelly, who's got the best relationship. And I look at Marla, who's got the smoking hot body and, runs marathons. And I look at Susie, who does these easy home cooked meals. And they're, of course, organic, award-winning brownies. And I look at them and I want to be the best version of all of them combined. So I'm trying to be better than each one of them because I'm only focusing on the thing that they've mastered where they're a perfect 10. And now I think I need to be a perfect 10 in all areas. And that, my friends, is crazy making. So if I give you the concept of ego rhythm and I say, no, you can't have it all, just not all at once, would that be helpful? If you'd follow that concept of ego rhythm and you recognize there's a time to take care of yourself, there's a time to be a mother or a father where that's your priority, a time to put your career first, a time where there maybe is a tragedy of some sort where that takes your main focus, perhaps there's an illness that takes your main focus, would that be helpful to say, I give you now permission to only make one thing your main focus? It means the other things are still important. But if you make one thing the hero, everything else falls in the priority underneath of that. And it's been called a game changer, a sanity saver in so many ways. But ego rhythm is a concept of saying you can have everything, just not all at once.
I love that. You are speaking to a new school of thought, and you're the second business owner, you're the second leader that I've heard say this. And so it's unique, right? We're always trying to balance. It's a balancing act. We're always trying to keep everything. We're trying to keep our homes, our kids. If we're in school, we're trying to balance all these different things at once. But you're the second person I've heard say this, and what it is, focus on what's important right now. If you're writing a book, the example that was given to me, if I'm writing a book and I'm on tour for the book, my house may be a mess, my car maintenance may not be on point, there are other things that are just as important, but it's not the focus right now, and that's okay. That it's mindset, and shifting that mind. That's what I'm hearing. Am I way off, or is that
No, you're absolutely correct. It exactly means that. It means that it teaches you how to be more present in whatever that thing is that you're doing right now. So if you, by your example with a book tour, if you're on book tour, what's the objective of the book tour? It is to connect with people, to share excerpts of your book, to make book sales, to spread the word, to make the impact. And so that's what you're there to do. So you want to focus on that and not on all the other stuff, because that's not your priority. That's not your main focus at this moment in time. And that is what allows you to have a much richer experience and a more fulfilling experience, because now you are here instead of all over the place. And that is what the concept is designed to teach, is to say, we now know that multitasking is really an illusion, because multitasking just means that our brain goes faster than we can go. And so it allows this ADD that a fast brain sometimes can create to take over, and then somehow pretend that that's useful other than crazy making. And it takes it back to the experience we're here to have, which is the human experience. And the human experience is about what? About connection. Right now, there's only one thing I'm doing, and that is I'm here with Marcus in this interview. That's all I'm doing. I'm not thinking about what else is going on. I'm not thinking about my next call. I'm not thinking about, whether I'm hungry or not. I'm here. I'm here for Marcus and his audience. That's all I think about. And that makes this experience better, because I don't feel rushed. I don't feel, pulled in a different direction. I give myself permission to be here.
I love that. I love that. That's so true. Thank you for being here. By the way, I appreciate you in here in this moment with me and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here for that. We have one more quick commercial break from our sponsors of the show. We'll be right back, y'all.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code DENSTYLE at manscaped.com.
We are back. This is Welcome to Gentleman Style Podcast Show. If you're tuning in for the first time, we are on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Facebook business page, and Audible. I need to find out a shorter ad lib for all of that. But we have the incredible, amazing Miss Beate Chelette, and she's spilling the tea today on Gentleman Style Podcast Show on failing your way forward, failing through success. We've all overcome obstacles. We've all been faced with many, many challenges. And sometimes our backs are against the wall. And she is here. She teaches, she coaches, she mentors through her book, Entrepreneurship, her teachings, and her legacy teachings to teach us how to survive and keep pressing forward. If you missed any of that, go back, scroll back, and tune in to this powerhouse speaker. She is absolutely incredible. Miss Chelette, I have to ask, you did something that was unique. Most people start businesses to pass on to their kids, to pass on to their generations, to pass on to their families. You sold your business, which is most people don't think of. But you sold your business to Bill Gates. What was the thoughts behind that? What was the strategy behind that? And what was it exactly that you sold?
Yeah. So uh, I come from photography. So my only degree really is a photography degree. And as I embarked on the journey, I realized very early on that I am a lot better at the business behind the art. And I choose to be in the business side of creativity. And in this capacity, I was photo editor at Elle magazine in Germany. And then I immigrated here to the United States. And then I was a artist representative, a photographer rep, a still photography producer. And I had a business where my key employee got a little bit too close to my key vendor and they came up with a business to run my business without me. And so I lost that part of my business and that was horrible. And I sued both of them and I'm involved in this huge lawsuit and it costs a lot more than I thought because I'm in California. Things are very expensive here. It's certainly suing. And so I think I'm getting back out of this and I have about a $500,000 of production volume. I was producing for clients like Mercedes-Benz, Wrangler, Levi Strauss, BMW on the books. And then September 11th hits 20 years ago and it wiped out my entire production business. And it was over. It was literally game over. I mean, there was nothing to recover in my photographer representation business or in my production business. But I had this idea of building the stock photography syndication. And the stock photography syndication, remember, I was a photo editor at Elle magazine. So I used to buy stories and I went after architecture and interior photography uh, clients and I built up the first, really large global stock photography syndication specialized in architecture and interior, but not just that, that had been done, but celebrity at home stories. And so when I was in this lawsuit and then September 11th came and I was wiped out, I knew that you can run a successful business, but that does not mean that it's going to be successful forever, nor does it mean that you know, even with circumstances completely out of your control, which we've seen in the pandemic, it could be a slam dunk and then all of a sudden overnight it's over and it's none of your fault. So I knew that I wanted to build an equity type business going forward that made money while I wasn't there. And I set it up for acquisition. I knew that given the opportunity, I was going to sell it. And I set it up for sale. I ran it like I was going to sell it. My whole standard operational procedures were around how can I make this easy to hand this business one day over to a buyer? And so I waited in the market until the opportunity arose. And the opportunity came because we were selling so many at home stories that we became the world leader in celebrity at home stories. And that attracted the attention of a Bill Gates company. And it wasn't Microsoft, it was Bill Gates himself who owned this particular company 100%. And they wanted to know how I do it. And like any decent woman, Marcus, I said, you want to know what I know or what I do, you're going to have to pay for it. And they made me a multi-million-dollar offer, and that was my number. And then I sold it because I knew that with that money, I could afford a house. I bought a house. I was able to get my daughter through college and pay for that, and that my whole life would change. So I achieved one of my goals by building and creating this business and then selling it. I, of course, never thought I would sell it to Bill Gates, but that's just a nice little pearl to have.
That's a huge pearl to have. That's amazing. Legacy. So even in the sale, even in the midst of adversity, you learn from it, right? What happened to you when they took over, when they got a little too close, your ex partners got a little too close, and they most people, most of us would have given up. right? We would have just washed it in. We wouldn't have stayed in the fight, but you pushed through. You continued to stay in the fight, and you pivoted and you grew from it. And that's what this is about. You don't give up. You don't give up. You remain consistently consistent the entire time through. I
Resilience is the audacity to not give up.
Right. Right. Even I'm telling you right now, I would have ran scared. I would have, I mean, oh my gosh, massive lawsuit, money out the door, my business, and then September 11th. It's like one after the other, and you still persevere. You still push through all of it. I want to pivot. You did a study. You wrote an insight paper for the future of leadership, diversify.world, where you interviewed CEOs and thought leaders about what future leaders need to know. Can you tell us about that insight paper and what you discovered in that research for the leaders in the audience watching?
Yes. So the objective was that when I started this insight paper, my research, I was speaking a lot about women leadership, and I was on a lot of different stages, and I traveled around the country, talk about women in leadership, and kind of like what we need to do to balance leadership. And then the pandemic comes, and nobody talks about women leadership like at all. So all these opportunities went away because there was a much larger issue that affected all of the world, not just America. And so I didn't want to make an assumption on what the problem was or what the solution was. So I interviewed C-level executives, CHROs, CEOs, COOs, and I simply asked them, I said, what is the future of leadership going to look like? What do we need to prepare our leaders for? And so the findings were in 4 different quadrants. And the first quadrant is about creating safe spaces where employees and team members want to be not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally safe. The second quadrant is about transparent engagement. And transparent engagement is that leaders of the future don't have to know all the answers. They just have to be transparent about how they're communicating it, and they have to communicate often and frequently. And it's interesting. I just read the Edelman Trust Report, and it said that CEOs are more trusted than the government, and that a CEO only needs to repeat a message twice for it to be trusted by the team members. And that ties exactly into what I learned, is that the communication really is key. The third piece is about really about equity and about making sure that there's a balance. And this piece is that every voice on the team needs to be heard and seen. And this has a lot to do with the men's code and the women's code, which is what I call the new business code. And the new business code is about how do we get over the assumption of male leadership and what female leadership is, and combine them together as this new business code, and making sure that every voice on the team is heard. And then the fourth piece is about fragilities and sensitivities, which is that we are working in a existing structure that is not designed to accommodate minorities, women, or anyone who is non-white, non-conforming, because that's the system. The structure has been built by white men for white men. And because they're nice and cool, they said, everybody come on in, only to recognize that it doesn't work for people who are different than the mold. And what happened over a period of time, and what we see now with the millennials and Generation C, is that they also don't like the structure, because now the structure isn't even working for the white men it was created for anymore. And so this is the opportunity for us. This is exactly spilling some tea. This is now the opportunity for us in this moment in history to say, well, how do we redefine leadership? And how do we step out and make this workplace of the future work for team members and leaders while we have higher productivity, creativity, and innovation?
Ooh, I love it. This is what's going to take us into the future, y'all. This is how we survive into the foreseeable future in business. And I can even take some of these can actually be used at home in my own personal life, right?
Yes.
Every voice is heard and seen. That includes your spouse, your family, your kids. Make sure everyone is heard. And so these are the marks of leadership. That's how I see it. So thank you so much for spilling. Ooh, that was big. That was big. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What is your best? And this is going to be oxymoron. What is your best failure? And what did you learn from it?
Oh, there was this one moment, Marcus, where, coming from creativity and photography, where I had this brilliant idea to do coffee table books as ebooks. And because it hadn't been done before. And, because I like photography and I like art. So I figured if it was, digitized and we would put out all these great, beautiful books, that the world would just, have so much access to art. What I didn't think about at the moment is that, Marcus, if I come to visit you and I see your iPad laying on the coffee table, it's not exactly like I'm going to say, oh, Marcus, is that your coffee table book? Can I take a look? And I'll grab your iPad and I'm just going to browse through your coffee table book on an iPad as I would if the book would be physically laying there. So what I want to say, it was a really dumb idea and it completely failed. And I realized that for a product that was whatever price between $3.99, $9.99 as an ebook, that each one of these was as much work as my whatever thousands of dollars high ticket programs are. And then I'm thinking to myself, if I put the time and effort into marketing one product, I probably should mark the product that's higher end over the one that's only $2.99 if it's the same amount of effort. And so I had to walk away from it.
That's true. That's true. You
What
remind
did I
me.
learn? What did
Yeah.
I learn from it? I learned from it that things don't happen for one out of two reasons. Either you are stupid or everybody else is.
Got it. Got it. I love that. I love that last point. And what you remind me of Shark Tank, right? You remind me of the CEOs and executives on Shark Tank when they're making a decision on, and they're very honest, right? They're very, very honest and they're very bold. And they'll tell you, hey, your idea isn't going to work. It's not going to make it into foreseeable future. And that's one of the things they do. So that's what came to mind when you mentioned that. We have a question from our audience, Mr. Ed G. And this is to the point of future leadership into the foreseeable future. They want to know, I don't know if it's a man or woman. Can you ask is management work more or less under a man or woman, or do you feel there is no change?
Hi, Ed. Thanks for the question. So the answer to that is really it depends, because when you look at leadership or managers, right? It depends on how developed the manager is. So the assessment of a good leader for me is the ability to balance the male and the female. So what I mean by that, Ed, is that when you look at the pandemic and you say, what type of leadership really worked in the pandemic? You'll say female leadership style because it's empathetic, collaborative, community driven. So in a pandemic, what we saw at the women leader worldwide, they seem to fare much better than male leaders. Why? Because male leaders are about winning, competition, getting to the top. Winning isn't exactly a pandemic attribute, right? I mean, what are you going to win? There's no winning here. I mean, people are either healthy or they're sick and dying. So what is winning here? So that's what you need to look at when we now go into the organization and say, are they going to work less or more under a man or a woman? I think that because so many women are mothers. We have to leave to pick up our kids. We have to leave to pick up our kids at 4:45. We have to get it done before 5. So I feel that a good woman leader probably gets done more because she can't afford that. Marcus, do you remember that one movie about the guy, the black gentleman who was on Wall Street, the first black man on Wall Street? What was that movie called? Will Smith what was in it. And he had this line, which is so powerful, where he said, I had to learn how to do in a short amount of time what others did all day long because I had to leave and pick up my son. I was the parent.
The pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit of happiness, exactly. And so watch that. And that shows you that when a man is being put into the position that a lot of women are in, their behavior is the exact same, because the priority, the main focus, is to make sure as a single parent that your child is taken care of. And so the answer to your question, sadly, is it depends on the circumstances and the objective. But I would say that women probably a little bit more effective just because they have to, for the most part.
That's normal. That's Kevin O'Leary, successful CEO. He says his best investments have been in women-led corporations. His best companies that he invests in are the ones that are run and operated by women. So that's what it is. That's not made up. That's not a myth. You just debunked that myth. So thank you, Miss Chelette. Thank you for spilling that tea, and thank you for being honest and transparent. Mr. Ed, I hope that answered your question. It definitely answered mine. This is the new school of thought, and she's interviewed hundreds of high-level executives, C-suite, A-suite executives, and this is the trend. You can't beat statistics. It's numbers, right? And that's what she's here to do. She's here to break open those schools of thoughts that we need to hear. Miss Chelette, this has been an epic show. You are amazing. If you had one more nugget, one more tool in your tool belt, you've spilled so much information and you are wise and beautiful beyond your years. If you had one more nugget in your belt to say to that young man, that young woman out in the audience, what would it be? What would be that advice or that tip that you could leave them with?
Don't ever look at failure as failure. Look at failure as a road sign that gently nudges you to not go that way, and thank it for saving time so you can find the right way.
Love it. And how can my audience connect with you? How can we grow with you? How can we get a copy of that book that's now for women, but also for men? We spelt that earlier.
Yeah, and little side note, I wrote that really as a book that can be left in the bathroom for men to read. So that was I actually designed it as that. The chapters are relatively short. So you find the book Happy Woman, Happy World on Amazon as an ebook, as an audiobook, and as a printed book. And you can find me on beatechelette.com. If you are growing your business, you can go to airtightavatar.com and you'll find a free masterclass with a downloadable guide where you can check mark how to find out who your ideal customer is. I call this the Airtight Avatar. I'll save you hundreds of hours on nailing that because it's a foundational piece of the 5-Star Success Blueprint. Who are you selling to? It's done for you. All you have to do is take a pen and mark what applies to you, and you got your Airtight Avatar. If you've heard something and you say, gosh, I must speak to her, then go to uncoverysession.com, fill that out. I'll make 7 of these available to your audience, Marcus, as my gift to you and your audience. Make sure you mention Marcus and Gentleman Style. So I know you're coming here. These sessions are valued at $500 each. And I can pinpoint about 30 to 45 minutes where your business is stuck, what step you may have missed, and what step should be coming next.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Connect with this powerhouse speaker, y'all. Connect with this woman. She is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Miss Chelette. Thank you for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast show and giving back in this way. This is helpful. This is what we need. This is powerful. And this is what my audience needs to take their business to the next level. So thank you so much. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. We need you. The world needs you. And I know you already know this, but don't ever stop.
All right. From your word, I'll take it. I'll take it at face value. Thank you so much for having me, Marcus. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Absolutely. I hope this message has served you. I hope this was helpful, y'all. I hope you learned something. I learned something, and I hope this message, you take it with you as you go into the foreseeable future. Like I end every show, take care of your family, take care of your friends, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman, and Miss Beate Chelette, taking your business to the next level and overcoming all those obstacles and fighting through till you reach success. We love you guys. Bye.